Thanks for working with me.
Great job. Okay, so the agenda today, I think is, as Alex mentioned, it really is just to give some color as to what is it like to be a lawyer, what are the different things, different types of lawyers, what are the careers like, what do we do every day to help people sort of decide, is this what I actually want to do for the rest of my life or not? There probably won't be as much about how to get into law school or, which LSAT prep company is the best or things like that. But maybe it'll be a little bit. We've assembled a number of panelists that sort of represent different careers in the legal field. And for example, I was an engineer originally, and then I went back to law school. I practice as a patent attorney now, and I work at a large law firm in the local area. And I'll introduce each of the panelists very briefly and have them talk a little bit about what their backgrounds are. But what I'd like to do first is just kind of get a sense of who's in the audience and what you guys really want to hear about, because we know that there was a large turnout, but I have actually no idea for who we were advertising to. So just by a show of hands, how many people here are actually parents? They're not interested in going to law school, but they're interested in How many are parents of children who are in high school or earlier? Okay. And how many people are sort of college age, so you're undergraduates or your parents of undergrads, or okay, how many people are in law school or your parents are people in law school and you're wondering if they made the right decision? Okay. So it seems to be mostly people that are in high school or sort of making longer range career decisions. And of the people that are here, how many people, of the parents, how many people are not native English speakers? So you were born in China and you grew up there and then came over. Okay. So I'm going to assume most of those people also are not very familiar with the law school system in the United States and how the careers work and things like that. So let me briefly introduce each of the panelists and sort of which area they represent, and then the agenda I think is I'll have each of the panelists talk for maybe 5 to 7 minutes about their background and their experiences and what they do. I'll maybe have questions for another 30 minutes, and then we'll take questions from the audience for that 30 minutes. Okay, so to my left is Christy Wong. She's the most recent grad, so if you do have LSAT questions, I can answer them too, but he's irrelevant. She represents, originally when she came out of law school, she worked in-house at HP for a while, so there is a track of lawyers that work in-house at companies. So she can talk a little bit about what that's like. And recently she's left her job and become an entrepreneur. So she can also talk about, even if you don't want to be a lawyer, is it worth going to law school or not, or is that just a waste of, 3 years at X million dollars, X $100,000, whatever it costs. Next to her is Charles Wong. He's a deputy district attorney in Santa Clara County. So if you ever get in trouble with the law, you may see him. But he basically sort of represents the public sector. So there are a segment of lawyers that you can go and work in the public sector. He works for the DA office, but he probably could talk a little bit about other, if you're going to be defense side or if you're going to work in DOJ or things like that. Maybe we'll talk some about that. Next is Susan Robinson. Susan is she's the Associate Dean of Career Services at the law school. And she could talk about her job, but there aren't very many jobs like her. So relevant would be for her to talk about. She works with all of the Stanford law grads and getting their jobs when they come out of law school. And so I think she probably can add a lot of wisdom and insight in terms of where are people going, what's on, what's not, how many people go to private firms versus public versus not doing law at all, things like that. And on the very end, is Han Lu, who is a partner at Novak Drews. Novak Drews is also a large law firm, and he represents sort of, if you want to go down the large law firm path, this is what it might look like. And he is a pretty good advisor. So with that, I think what I'll do is I'll just turn it over to each of the panelists one at a time. If you could spend maybe 5 to 7 minutes, describe how you got to where you are, where did you grow up, when did you decide you wanted to be a lawyer, when did you go to law school, and how did you end up where you currently are, and so what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
Okay. Hi. My name is Christy. I was born and raised in China.
Oh, sorry. So I've asked each of the panelists to dress the way that they do. This is
Okay. I was born and raised in China, and then I immigrated to Canada, and finally came to the United States for law school. So I graduated from Northwestern School of Law in 2010. And then at that year, it was the first year that HP, Hewlett Packard Company, had their first year attorney program. So usually for law grads, they do not go in-house directly. They usually practice a little bit in either small or big law firms, and then maybe after 3 to 5 or even longer period, and then they go back to in-house, or they actually go down, the law partner have big law firms. So for me, that was the first year that HP had this program. So they actually hired 4 law students out of the top 10 law schools in the United States. So before that, when I was in law school, the first year and the second year summer, I summered at 2 big law firms. One is O'Malley & Myers, the other one is Kinnard Gates. So actually, I was deciding where to go, whether to go to a law firm or to go in-house directly out of law school. But finally, I still went to HP. And I think it was one of the best experiences I had in my whole life. So I stayed at HP for more than 3 years. So there, for this first year attorney program, it was amazing in the sense that we were actually rotating in different departments. HP's legal department is really big. So globally, we have more than 1,000 people, and for attorneys, we have more than 500 attorneys. So here in Palo Alto, we have more than 200. So different departments. So we were rotating among, let's say, litigation, IP litigation, and then M&A, mergers and acquisitions, and we have commercial, and we have, the other, for example, FCPA, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, all of those things. So we were rotating the first and the second year. So we actually had insights into different departments in a whole legal department, a big legal department. And after that, you pick whatever you want to do. So my second and third year, basically I was focusing on IP enforcement between Asia and the United States. Leveraging my own background because I was born and raised in China, so I speak Mandarin, Cantonese, and English. So in Palo Alto office, we only have 2 attorneys who are from China. So we definitely, there is a need for that. And the second thing that I was doing is FCPA, which is Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. So for big companies who are international, especially in Asia, in China and Korea, they have this problem, this corruption problem. So it's something that is really booming in the United States and globally. So that's something that I focused on. And then opportunities came in 2013, and that's last year. There was this international investment fund, as well as servicing technology transfer between the United States and China. So I thought that was really a good opportunity for me to jump, from the legal field to another exciting area. I think that is investment and IP transfer between China and the United States. Even more leveraging my own, my own background. So that's why this year, in 2014, I left HP, and basically I also left my legal career not too long. And then I became a partner in this international investment fund as well as servicing company. So I am in operation. I'm basically in charge of the whole United States, U.S. operation. And we also have a much bigger operation in China, in Nanjing, Jiangsu province. So that is my background. And then, am I going to give you advice first or?
Sure. What
Okay.
advice would you have?
Yeah, so just now, I think Michael actually asked me a question. Do you think that you really wasted the money in law school? Okay, my answer is definitely no. I think my legal education is the most important education of my whole life. Because I think in law school, you don't really learn the legal knowledge. I think you learn how to think like a lawyer. And you also learn to be detail-oriented, to be sometimes meticulous, but not too much, and to make very conscious decisions, and also to make judgment at the critical points. I think all of these skills are transferable in whatever you do in the future. And the most important reason for me to transfer from a lawyer to another career is because I think I want to use my legal skills and my analytical thinking in a broader range of colors, not just the legal. So if I put all of these skill sets into business itself, especially between the United States and China, where a lot of opportunities are, I kind of feel that I can make a bigger impact. So I hope that for the students and also for parents who are thinking whether their children are going to law school or not, don't think being a lawyer after law school. But my advice is that even if you may change your mind in 5 or 10 years after you become a lawyer, it's still very good to practice as a lawyer at the beginning after your law school. So that's my advice.
Great.
Thank you.
So let me just introduce Otto. So Otto, originally was. The reason he's here, I think, is because he had a small practice, and he was the former mayor of Sunnyvale. So the sort of two aspects. One is sort of if you want to go out and don't want to work for a large law firm, but you want to sort of start your own business, well, what is that like? And then also, a lot of lawyers, if you look at the number of senators or the people in the House of Representatives, there's a disproportionate number of lawyers. So I think you can sort of talk to the aspect of public service and things like that. So we'll get them into time. So let me just move on to Charles. So Charles, I would ask you to start with, Deputy District Attorney. When I was in high school, I heard DA all the time, but I actually had no idea what it was. So you can just sort of start there.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Charles Kwong. I'm a Deputy District Attorney for Santa Clara County. So Stanford University is in Santa Clara County. Please don't commit a crime here. Then you have to know. Basically, what a prosecutor does is after someone has been arrested by a crime, the police come and they arrest somebody. They prepare a police report to show what happened. They then bring that report to my office. Myself or a colleague then reviews the report, and we make a determination to see if a crime has been committed. And if we determine that a crime has been committed and we can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the legal standard, absent anything, any good cause, if you will, we're going to file charges on you, and then we're going to treat you as a criminal and take you through the criminal justice process. At the end of the day, the DA and the judge in our criminal justice system, we don't make a determination as to guilty or not guilty. The jury, 12 members of our community, at the end of the day, decide whether or not myself and my colleagues have met that burden to show beyond a reasonable doubt the defendant is guilty of the crime he's charged with. So my job is, in essence, to charge criminals and prove to a jury whether or not that individual committed the crime that he's charged with. And 12 jurors need to agree. And if they find that defendant guilty, then it's up to the judge to decide how much time and what kind of penalty or punishment that individual gets. So that's kind of my job in a broad spectrum. And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how I got there. I work for the government. I'm pretty sure I make less than everybody at this table. But with that being said, I really love my job. And I went to law school in a very different capacity, with a different, I think, state of mind than many people here. Growing up, I knew that I didn't know what job I was going to do, but I knew that whatever it is I wanted to do, I wanted to help people. And I didn't quite know how that is. I'm not very good at math, I'm not very good at science, so I can't invent something and make your lives better, but I do talk a lot. Naturally, it did lead to going to law school. And, you know, one of the things that made me want to become a lawyer, want to work for the government, is because I grew up in Burlingame. I went to Mills High School and UC Davis, where I grew up. And I was a history major. And really, as a history major, there's not a lot more I can do, maybe be a teacher. But when I was in college, I was a political science major. I was an Asian American Studies minor. I minored in, and I also majored in history. And some of the studies I came across was just a lot of oppression that Asian Americans had to overcome. You know, we came to this country building railroads. We came to this country without the right to vote. We couldn't intermarry. That's why we have Chinatowns and all over. As an Asian American, it's unfair to me that I'm treated differently than an Irish American or a German American, and I wanted to make sure that I would do something to fix it. That's why I went to law school. That's why I became a prosecutor. Not too long ago, there was a story in Chicago. I don't know if you guys saw this. There was a Chinese woman sitting at I think she works at a massage salon. And the police went in to go raid the massage salon. Did anybody see the video of this? Can I see your hands? Okay, you guys know what I'm talking about. 5 police officers, 6 Chicago police officers go in. They already have her handcuffed. And they hit her in the back of the head. She's all the while screaming, "I am an American, I have rights, I am American, I have rights." The police officers, 4 of them were standing up, just watching, and one guy saying, "You will never be an American. You will never be an American. You better shut up before I put you in a FedEx box and ship you back to China." This happened last year in Chicago. So